Welcome back. The White House now addressing the Texas redistricting fight as DNC Chair Ken Martin is vowing to fight tooth and nail to stop Republicans in the Lone Star State. Here's President Trump's suggestion for what should happen to the absentee state Democrats.
In a certain way, it almost looks like they've abandoned the state. It looks very bad. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Should the FBI get involved? Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want them back. Not only the Attorney General, the governor wants them back. You can't just sit it out. You have to go back. You have to fight it out. That's what elections are all about.
Meanwhile, former President Barack Obama also getting into it, writing on X, "We can't lose focus on what matters right now. Republicans in Texas are trying to gerrymander district lines to unfairly win 5 seats in next year's midterm elections," writes Obama. "This is a power grab that undermines our democracy," writes Obama. Meanwhile, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is seeking a court order to vacate the seats of these runaway Democrats if they're not back in Austin by Friday. Governor Greg Abbott even filed a lawsuit to remove State Democratic Caucus Chair Jean Wu from his seat. Joining me now is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a member of the House Armed Services and Oversight Committees. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What's your reaction to what's happening in Texas right now?
Well, if you're too scared to show up to do your job, maybe you shouldn't hold office. And you know this, Maria. The Democrats have spent decades weaponizing the court systems to gerrymander districts so that they can win in races across the country. The other thing that they have done is they've allowed us to include illegal aliens in our census as we redraw and appropriate congressional district lines. So they're no friend of democracy in this. And I hope that those that don't show up to work, that they are arrested or that their seats are vacated and they're replaced, because this is not democratic. We are a republic. They've been elected to show up to work. And by the way, Governor Abbott won his race handily. So did Donald Trump. And this is what America is all about. Yeah, show up and fight like a real leader would.
And pardon me, apologize. I just said that during the commercial break to Ashley right here. And Ashley, I found it particularly rich that it was Barack Obama who had the nerve to say that Republicans are a threat to democracy just a couple of days after he was nailed for basically pushing that Russia fake Trump collusion story for so many years and leading all of the agencies to go try to take down Trump.
Absolutely. And Congresswoman, it's nice to see you. We're going to miss you in Washington. But yeah, absolutely. I think that the number one issue, though, here is, Maria, is these Democrats are not enabling their House of Representatives to vote on the aid for the flood victims. So they're leaving on political reasons on redistricting, but what they're holding up is money that are going to one of the biggest tragedies in their state, and that's what I think the story is.
What do you think, Congresswoman?
Oh, that's huge. And, to point that out, I mean, there were hundreds of deaths through the floods. This was a huge tragedy for Texas, but they're not showing up. And the people of Texas need their state legislature and the House and the Senate side to help them across the state. And so they've abandoned their jobs. And I'm with Donald Trump. I mean, if the FBI has to get involved, so be it. But they need to show up, fight for what they believe in, and help the folks across Texas.
Now, what do you think about what's happened in the Senate before senators left for recess? Republicans there are mulling whether or not to change confirmation rules. After the Senate left for August recess, left more than 140 of President Trump's nominees still pending because the Democrats would get involved and try to stop the process. The changes include shortening debate times, eliminating some procedural votes, grouping certain nominees together, and lowering the number of nominees required for confirmation, Congresswoman. What's your take on this? Because there are still 140 people left hanging in the balance that President Trump needs to advance.
Well, what Chuck Schumer has done, this is not checks and balances here. And as Republicans, when the Biden administration had nominees, Republicans showed up to work in the Senate and confirmed those nominees and went through those hearings. And some of the ideas that have been proposed in the Senate, there is a precedent for some of our military appointees, for example, at the DOD. We have voted on them. They have voted on them en bloc. And so I think they should look at what the precedent is and be thoughtful about what does this mean in the future if Democrats or when Democrats are in charge of the Senate when they have the majority in the future. We want to be very careful here, but they got to show up. I mean, this is what democracy is about, and Trump won a huge mandate in November, massive.
So you just launched your campaign for South Carolina governor. Congratulations. Tell us what you want to do in South Carolina should you win next year.
Well, first of all, we have a great opportunity in every state across the country to install America First governors who will implement Donald Trump's agenda from the state level on down. The state of South Carolina has the highest state income tax in the Southeast, hovering around 6%, Maria, and the state legislature has only cut it about 1/10 of a point, 2/10 of a point over the last couple of years. I want the state of South Carolina to be able to compete with Florida, with Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, etc. I have a plan that I unveiled. It's called 5 Years to Zero on Monday to get the state income tax down to zero. Very simple, common sense plan. But also, we've had rogue sanctuary sheriffs. We've had sanctuary policies in South Carolina, and none of that's going to happen on my watch. I was the one that led the charge last year to reject a sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina who was letting out illegals who were rapists, murderers, and pedophiles. So I'm going to work very hard for our state to make it more prosperous and more safe. And if folks want to chip in, they can go to nancymace.org. Give us $1 today and help us win this thing.
So you've got really Republicans trying to gain the foothold, not just in your state, South Carolina, but Lee Stefanik in New York. You've got Ohio as well. How are you going to get the electorate to come out and vote for you?
Well, Donald Trump is going to be a huge part of this effort with some of the vehicles that he has. He's going to be working hard to turn out America First and MAGA voters and conservatives and the base, everybody. He's the one president in my lifetime who's been able to bring Republicans together to get them to turn out an election. And I think we have a great opportunity here. He's made good on all of the promises in his campaign in his first 6 months in office. And he knows what's at stake. And I believe in him. I trust in him. And I know that he's going to lead us into the future. But we have great opportunities, like you said, Maria, in all these states. New York is in play here because of Donald Trump. And that's amazing.
Yeah, great point. Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks so much. We'll be watching.